Good evening, viewers, and welcome to The Price of Fame. My name is Lunga Tshuka, and I'll be your host. So, The Price of Fame is a podcast that focuses on the real stories about the journey to success, from the moment of realization of one's gift or purpose. And in these conversations, we aim to shed the light on the hardships, the sacrifices, and the mindsets our guests have to overcome to achieve their current position in their career. And these are their stories. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest is an MC, comedian, actor, and voiceover artist. And his most powerful gift is stand-up comedy. Nominated for 5 South African Comics Choice Awards. He shared the stage with so many of the greatest in the industry. Just to name a few, we got John Vlismas, Rasdien, Marc Lottering, David Cow, and that many, many more. He's also, with his comedy gift, he's got the opportunity to tour most of Africa, where he shared his comedy in Lesotho, Botswana, Nigeria, Namibia. And he's actually doing a tour now as we speak. The man is hustling and he's going around Africa and South Africa. He doesn't stop. Also, he's performed in front of international audiences, such as like the Broadway Comedy show, which is the Broadway Comedy Club, which is in New York, as well as the New York Comedy Club, which is in Manhattan, and the prestigious Perth and Sydney Comedy Festival that happens in the Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, please, without further ado, let's welcome to the screen the very talented, the multi-talented, the very, very funny, and the lovable Alfred Adriaan.
Hello. I'm trying to get this line of light right. There we go. Sorry. Hello, Lunga. How are you doing? Trying to get my light right here, man. It's like a beam shooting from the top of my head.
Yeah, you look. Now go back there. You look like your crown chakra is activated there.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that light off. I wonder if it'll work. But anyway, sorry, man. No
It's
lights.
all good. See you. We can see you.
It was perfect a minute ago. Now it's yellow. Anyway, hello, sir. Thank you for having me. How are you guys doing?
I am very well, thanks, man. And once again, thank you for agreeing to be a guest on The Price of Fame. Like, really, it's a pleasure. And like just before this, we went live. We actually spoke about where we actually met the first time in 2014. And yeah,
we go back.
Yeah, that was my first time in Joburg, actually. That was my very first time in Joburg.
Really?
And yeah. So I think that was at the Nando's. No. That was the Nando's competition, right? The Nando's festival.
You know, probably. I don't know. We've done so many festivals and competitions. You know how it is in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Festivals, competitions, all those things that you think matter that don't, but you only realize it years later.
Yeah. Bro, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it was the festival. That was back in 2012. That's when I started. I had like only a few gigs under my belt that time. I was still counting gigs. I was still like, yeah, I'm on my 24th gig now. So we both started that time. Yeah. Okay. First things first. Listen, I just want to say, I want to get this out of the way. Myself and my partner, we just enjoy watching your clips that you always upload on Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have this guy on Instagram now, I'm telling you now, please add him on Instagram. It's so entertaining. And the thing is that you being natural, man, and you're being funny. And the most thing that I love the most about those clips is that I love the way you pronounce some of your words because of your accent and obviously where you're from. So the way you pronounce it is just have a nice twang. You're like, yeah, bro, like it's so funny and it's so entertaining. My favorite one is Untraceable Barrels. Yeah. I just love those clips. What like inspired you to do those clips?
You know what, Lunga, we're gonna get into it. Because I know you guys are after the backstory, the real thing. So I'm gonna get into it right off the bat. Years ago, you both of us now is to be artists, to be stand-ups. I don't even see myself. I am a stand-up. The acting, I don't pursue it. When I get a role because someone liked me and I got it, right? But I don't pursue that life. I don't pursue voiceover work at all. I do stand-up. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. So ages ago, in the beginning, when I didn't really we were always waiting for people to make my career. I was always waiting so that a channel would come or a company would come and they would say, okay, now you can be on TV. And then I was like, I thought about it. I was like, even if they do come, say my wish comes through and a big channel comes and they say, listen, Alfred, you've got a role, but you've got to play this part, which has happened. It's still not what I want to do, and it's still not who I am. So I need to take control of my career. And the only way to do that is to start a vlog. So my idea was to, and also not paint myself into a corner, not create a character, just show my life. So I started vlogging, and that's how the whole thing kicked off. And there was no one watching. 200 people a vlog, but I stuck to it. And for about 8 months, I did that, and I think I got to 1,000 people following. And then I think then it went to 2,000 and 3,000. But then when lockdown hit us, I went, okay, well, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I've got a kid and a wife to look after. The only thing I've got right now is one or two choices. I go back to marketing because I was in marketing. I was a marketing professional for 10 years before I started stand-up, which I did really not want to do. And also, it's not like there were jobs being handed out to a guy that left marketing 8 years ago. And secondly, it was just to buckle down and see what I could do, because we didn't know what the world was going to hold in for us for the next year and a half or 2 or 3 years. We don't know how long it's going to be. So I started doing quicker turnaround stuff. So I used to do a vlog or 2 a week, and then I just went, okay, now I'm going to start just weighing them out every day. When it's funny, I'll throw it out. And that's how it started. So it was about growing my own community and building my own following and doing and having more control over my career and my destiny, and not waiting for other people to come. And then lockdown sort of put steroids into it, because all of a sudden 5,000 shares on a thing, and it went from 300 views to 3 million views. It's just chaos. Yeah, that was.
And I'm sure like that's helped you a lot with your shows, with the numbers rolling into your shows, because like we've been following a lot of your clips, especially now, you're doing like a tour, and you've been showing and you've been updating us with how well the ticket sales are going and all of that stuff, and even showed some of the people there in the audience in the background. So would you say that it's because of your clips that you've been putting out there that has helped you actually get more numbers to your bums and seats to your shows?
Absolutely. No one knew who I was. Lunga, you can be the funniest guy in the world. No one knows who you are. And when no one knows who you are, they're not going to buy tickets. You know what I mean? The reality was, in the past, I always, you know what? I believe that you put what you speak into the universe, it becomes true. And I don't think of it as so much like a lot of people think of it as a spiritual thing and all that. Yes, sure. But I also believe it's a mindset. When you speak things, you telling yourself, this is the thing. This is what's going to happen. So for me, it was a situation where ages ago I said, I wanted to build my ability first. I didn't want to, and I didn't think about it. I thought like, I don't want to become really popular because of 5 minutes of comedy. And then like some guys get like really popular off a clip. And then when people come to the show, it's an empty egg. You know what I mean? There's no ability, because you know how it is. Stage performance is a different animal. It's not this video thing. You see these guys doing well on video, and you see them live, it's atrocious because they haven't done stand-up. And I feel so sorry for that, because quickly the audiences just drop off again. So my whole thing was definitely I wanted to grow the ability and then the following. And it happened like that. And so it's definitely because of the numbers are definitely because of social media. But the fortunate part is the social media is the second best thing I do.
Yeah.
Stand-up is the thing. So they get there, they get there, they don't know really what to expect. And then they get a guy that's been doing this for 10 years. 7 days a week. So it's good.
I get what you mean, because on those clips and those little inserts, you're not doing material, you're just being your funny self. You literally, like the untraceable bearer bonds, it's something that came up, it popped up in your mind, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna share this with everyone. And it's funny. And if you look at the comments, people are laughing, there's laughing faces, and this like you're saying, you used to have 1,000 followers, now you're having 1,000 likes on just a video, you're having 3,000 likes, and that's just the likes alone. So now your followers are way increased. So it's definitely a page to take out of Alfred's book, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to increase your following, do more engagement, show the people who you are. Like even if it's a 30-minute clip or 1-minute clip, get out there. I'm actually talking to myself as well. I need to do more of these things
It's
as
scary,
well.
eh? It's a scary thing.
Yeah,
You put the camera on and you're putting yourself out there. And
yeah,
there's the two things that can happen. One, they like you for who you aren't.
yeah.
That is a horrible thing. Because there's nothing worse than being famous for a character that you have to now keep
Yeah.
up that grade, right?
Yeah,
Or two, you go out there, you show them who you are, you bleed, and if they like you for who you are. The following might not be huge, but at least you being you. And you don't
yeah,
have to pretend to be someone else in the street. It happened to
yeah.
a comedian, very popular international comedian. I think Joe Rogan speaks about it, called Dice Clay. You know Dice Clay?
Yes, yes, yes. I've heard of him. Yeah.
Dice Clay did a character in his stand-up. And that was a very popular bit in his 15 minutes or his hour. It's not. Then he went, okay, well, listen, it's imagine Marc Lottering just did Anti-Mil or just did Smiley. And then and all his show was just Smiley, and then people started thinking he is Smiley.
Yeah, yeah.
And when he walks in the street, they expect Smiley, not a learned man that reads.
Yeah.
Then Dice Clay became world famous for being the Dice Man. And now he's stuck there.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Dude, like myself and my partner, we have this conversation all the time. We speak about how people brand themselves, you know. They brand themselves with the idea, not thinking, what will I still be relevant to this brand a couple of years from now, you know? For example, and one of the people, like you mentioned, Dice Clay, and one of the people that I always mention is Terry Crews, the black dude that he's both. Like, yes, he can never ever like you can never ever see him in anything else. You're always gonna want to see him with his top off and doing some dancing with the muscles, you know, because that's the brand that he's produced. And when he gets older, you're still gonna want to see that, or you're just gonna be like, he's old, you know, he's done now, you know. So the can't really develop with your brand. So it's kind of strange.
I equate it to when you're in a day job. I equate it to this. I was in a day job I hated, but I was good at. And I was earning great money. So it's a hostage situation.
Yeah.
Money is what I'm here for. I hate the job. It's the same thing with this thing. If you a character, you make a ton of money off, trust me, you're gonna buy things. And those things your family and you're gonna get used to. And then you stuck, and the worst thing is to be stuck in a character, you start hating it, you know?
Yeah. Because you want to eventually show yourself. The thing is, I think people create characters because they're afraid of showing themselves, and they feel like if they put on some kind of impression there, people will like that, so that they don't have to show their true selves. But once they get the confidence and the journey grows, and then they become more confident in themselves, then they want to bring themselves forward. But now the people are gotten so used to your character, and so it's like, why are you changing your vibe now? People are like, why are you changing your vibe?
You don't like it. You don't like it. That's what
So, and like actually, like just to touch on that as well, like with your comedy, like you're saying, you just being your natural self. And I think a lot of comedians make this mistake when they step into comedy. They try to write funny instead of be funny. And the same thing, like we were just speaking, like now, don't become a character, be yourself. And just to like clarify for those who don't know what I mean by saying write funny and be funny. So, for example, like you showing your everyday life. You speaking in your accent and all that stuff, you are literally being the funny guy. You're not saying there, two policemen walk in a bar and a skull pot. You're not writing funny. You'd rather show, look, I am funny. Look how I go on with my wife. Look how excited I get on little things. So you be the joke instead of writing the joke, you know? And a lot of comedians get mistaken with that. Then they struggle. But then when they tell you the true life stories, and you're like, bruh, you're so funny. Why don't you tell that on stage? You know?
Why aren't you doing that? But so I agree with you on that. I think that it is, it's such a difficult thing because I watch, and the first 3-4 years, I always tell people, the first 3-4 years of stand-up is just you trying to become yourself on stage. Because you know, when you walk out, there's 100 people, there's 20 people, there's 5. It is nerve-wracking to stand in front of people and your adrenaline is pumping, and you're trying to make a joke, and you're trying to get a response, and so you're so preoccupied by those things, you can't be comfortable, and it takes years to sort of evolve into becoming comfortable and managing those feelings on stage, so that Alfred or Lunga comes out. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I always look at you guys, I go, don't be in a rush. And this is an old hat guy saying it, right? Don't be in a rush to die. Take this beautiful opportunity where people don't expect much from you to just become and evolve into who you can be. The worst thing that you can do is don't bring your family to the shows and add to a heavy situation. Just try and become yourself. And once people, I once watched a guy wildly racist on stage, wildly racist. And I was like, this is horrible content. And despite myself, a lot of the stuff in between I found very funny, because that guy was a racist. He was completely himself. And I was like, yeah, you can even win, even if you're saying horrible things. You're probably better off being yourself and racist than, you know what I mean? So it was a horrible show. But the point I'm trying to make is the guy was so honest about how he felt and who he was. I was like, we believe you. You know?
Yeah. Well, I guess what we're trying to say, the key to all of it and the essence to a great performance and the best version of you is just to be yourself. You know?
Yep. Try and get there. Takes forever. It does come though.
Bro, let's take it to this year, 2021. We're almost done with the year. We got a couple of months left. It's been rocky. It's been triumph. We've had it's a touch and go, back and forth kind of thing. You've had the opportunity to do some couple of live shows, and you got to do some of your own shows. I don't know how bookings have been for you as in stand-up, because it's been also tricky with the whole booking situation. But tell us, how's 2021 been treating you so far?
So given the current set of circumstances and the world that we find ourselves in, it is obviously, it's a very challenging time for everybody. Horrible for some, right? We've lost people and all those things. But within that context, I go to bed at night being grateful for a couple of basic things. I start with the basics. So I go, my kid is healthy, my wife is healthy and fine, both my parents are fine, my mother-in-law is fine. So like I start there. So I start going, all these things that I worry about, let's just go back to the basics, right? And then because of that, it's been a good year. So I go, it's been a good year. I've also been able to create a big following because of this lockdown. So it's been a gift in a way and a curse. But I go, this following probably wouldn't be this big if I didn't have this lockdown and my back against the wall. I wouldn't be working that hard. I wouldn't have put out content every day. You know, I put out 470 videos last year.
Wow, that's work.
Some days twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. So my back was against the wall and I was punching. You know what I mean? So it's been a great year for me. I've never seen bigger audiences. Even when things were normal, I've never seen these numbers. It's just tricky with COVID and people getting sick, and one has to be responsible. And then obviously shows get cancelled, moved. But it's been good, Lunga. Can't complain.
That's so good. I like the perspective that you've taken, and just to be grateful for the things that you do have, and instead of focusing on things that you don't have and how things are going wrong, you rather look to the positive. And that's such a good thing that you said. Your back was against the wall, and instead of being crushed and depressed, you actually, those punches, you threw 400 punches, bro, in one breath.
Yeah, bro, every morning.
And you've never boxed before. And you've never boxed before, and you threw 400 punches. So respect to you, bro.
I came out punching, and I went also. I realized how easy where my talent is finding the funny stuff quick. So because I needed to get videos, I just push videos out. There wasn't time to take two. Natalie, stand there. There was none of that. It's Alfred. Yeah, bang, and go. And that helped me be more of myself, and that helped me connect with the audience better because we were all going through the same stuff, and I think that's where we found each other.
Yeah, and what like I think I was speaking with another guest, Cindy. Now we were speaking about authenticity being like the new thing, being more people are looking more to real stuff, real raw reactions and the raw clips. And I think you're hitting it perfectly. If anyone wanted to learn how to create authentic content, Alfred is a great example. Just watch one of his clips. Like I say, and you don't even have to check out it. You don't even have to stalk his page because like the man works so much that you will find it on your news feed. So just scroll a little bit and you will find 2 or 3 videos on your news feed. And then you can from there obviously go to the page if you want some more. But this man is a hard worker. He's put out 400 last year. I don't know how much you've put out so far this year, but you've been pushing.
I stop every day. It's a thing.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's help with the numbers. It's help with people getting to know you, and it's help with your comfortability of being yourself and showing everyone who you truly are. So they don't have this weird perception when they come. They're already happy to see you when they come to the show, and then you just give them even more. This is what I'm actually working on for 10 years. Yeah. Boom.
So, as a comic, the tricky part is you put this stuff out, everyone sees it, and you have to hold this stuff back. Because I need an hour and 30 minutes of show. The quality of the stuff needs to be at a high-end level because people tune out so quickly. So I've got a lot to choose from. So that's been my challenge, trying to sort of hold back good jokes for another day. Because I don't want to put them out, I was going to throw them out. But yeah.
And listen, please take us back to when it all started for you. I mean, with me, I'm one of those people who I never thought I was going to be a comedian when I was a kid. I was never like, I want to be a comedian one day. Like I became a comedian through peer pressure. People were like, you're funny and you belong there. So tell us how it all started for you. How did the spark hit you and when was it? Tell us the moment, how old you were, what food you were eating.
I'll take you back. So I was a very shy kid in primary school. And I'll tell you that I think the triggers, when you look back at it now, I look at all those little triggers that pushed me this way. So very shy kid at school. I still listen to what my parents tell me. I'm very much that way. Like I'm very like, follow the rules. Don't be silly. That vibe, right? So my whole childhood, I was very quiet, scarily so. My father always said, you need to be able to speak in this world, my friend, if you want to make it, right? And so around age 13, my father has a shop. He still has that shop. He just doesn't run it anymore. But he put me to work at like a young age, like 10 years old, to go and work in this shop. And then I was forced to speak to adults a lot.
Okay.
And then I figured out if I make jokes, these adults react, and I like that reaction. There's a laugh there. The people behind they laugh there. Then what about 13? That personality, that sort of, that came out hard. So I was like, I shifted from this very shy kid to a kid that was constantly looking for where the joke was, right? Because it took a lot of, weirdly enough, it brought attention, but it took it away from my shyness because people were preoccupied and they just laughed, you know what I mean? And so as time went on, my father, again, instrumental, said, listen, you need to MC. If somebody in the family has a function, you must MC it.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, cool, let's do that. Did my first one, prepared. I was like 21. Did a great job. It fit like a glove, right? It's MC work, little bit of funny stuff, like, that kind of thing. Young. Then, but thought nothing of it. So now I was this funny guy. Now I was this guy that wasn't shy to stand in front of people and be funny, right?
Yeah.
Went and got a BCom degree because that's what you think you're going to be in the world. In my third year, I think I went and saw Marc Lottering at the Opera House in Port Elizabeth, Q15.
Yeah.
That was my seat number. I was 22, 23. Changed my life. I was like, this guy, how does he make an income? And this is hilarious. How does he do this? Yeah. And then I started thinking, that's amazing. But it's so far beyond what I have ever seen. I come from my town called Anki. No one's ever been on TV there. There's no one to look up to. The Eastern Cape is barren of those people. The people that are famous from the Eastern Cape leave, right? So then I went, well, I didn't even think about it. Years went by, and I was also the guy that everyone said, "Oh, you're so funny." I was the family MC now. You're so funny. You're so funny. You must try stand up. You must try. I was like the whole time thinking, I must try stand up. Trevor Noah hits. Everyone goes, "This guy is so young. He's doing so well." And then again, that started coming back to me. And then one day, 2012, I was like, "Nah, life is not getting longer. Let's try it out." So I went to Parker's, Joe Parker's club. And I went there and I asked for an open spot because everyone thought they were going to be a stand-up because Trevor was doing well. There was like a queue for like 3 months. And I said, "Listen, I'm not coming. I'm coming back every Wednesday until you put me on." The lady says to me, "You can do what you want. You're still going on in 3 months." I say, "Put me down for the 3 months. But someone is going to have a flat tire." So I come and the door. Wednesday nights was cheaper, so I'd go Wednesday nights and I would sit at the bar there at the back where the comics normally was. But I'd sit and watch, and she would see me there consistently. Eventually, they just let me in. I didn't have to pay. And after a couple of weeks, they went, "Listen, we've got a spot in Carnival City. It's on Brakpan. Why don't you go and do your open spot there?" Brakpan after a burlesque show, my friend. So I got after the burlesque show, and I'll never forget, Melt and Stig was on. Not Melt, Stig was on. And I went out and I saw this audience is Afrikaans, and I did the show. I did my gags in Afrikaans. They laughed and it was over for me. I never stopped doing stand-up every night, everywhere I could find it, every crack in every wall. I did it for years. I went to work. I'd go to work at 6 a.m. I'd leave at 6 p.m. I'd go straight from work. I'd keep clothes in the car, go to the clubs, try and get on. And quickly, because of all the time I got to do on stage, they started paying me. And when they started paying me, it started becoming a problem where I was like, do I hold on to the day job or do I let go? And eventually I let go. And that's 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've been doing like professional comedy ever since?
Yep. And it was very difficult because I had the dream job. I was a marketing manager. I was a marketing manager for a multinational company. I was flying in and out of Europe all the time. I could afford a very nice car. I had a nice apartment that I paid for. It was my flat. The aligote, the medical aid. So you tell your parents, "Listen, I'm going to leave now. I'm going to leave this job." Your dad goes, "Are you nuts? There's a medical aid here. I'm going to leave this and I'm going to start doing stand-up." Lucky for me, because of my background in business, I think that there is a thing happening on social media that we have to be careful of. We mustn't paint this dream to these kids that you leave and it just works out. It does not just work out. I left my job when I was very competent as a comedian. I kept on to that day job until the gigs that I was turning down was losing me more money than what I was making at that job. Consistently for 3 months. And then for another 3 months because I just had fear of letting go. And then when I eventually left, I could sustain myself with stand-up. But it wasn't like, I'm just going to leave. No. I still paid my bonds, paid my bills, paid my medical aid. I had to pay myself. I made myself a promise that I was going to work hard enough so that I could maintain the things that I've built up to that point. So yeah.
Would you say like having the success of building yourself up and with also having paid gigs, and now, I mean, like you said, you got to the point where you could actually say like, the comedy is so successful, I'm actually balancing my day job with my comedy now. If I actually let go one, I can survive on the other one. Now, with that success, would you say that you achieved that within Joburg only, or do you feel like you do you feel like it's because you done it, you hustled in Johannesburg, or do you think it's more of a mindset kind of thing? No matter where you are, you can still reach those successes, or do you feel like Joburg has more opportunities like that versus PE or Durban or Cape Town, because you've played the circuits all over, right?
So I'll tell you, and I think it would be naive. The romantic answer is no. You can do it anyway if you believe, but that's not the truth.
Absolutely.
The truth is that I come from a beautiful town in the Eastern Cape called Hankie, but they have there's no factories. There's very little work there. How do you make stand-up happen there? Doesn't matter how much passion you have. You're not going to. It's a miracle. You're not creating miracles in that town. So, and that is, I'm using my own hometown as an example, but I mean, you could say the same about Port Elizabeth. You could say the same about Kimberley. So, also, the South African thing is to think that you're going to just make it because you're in Joburg. No, there's a lot of people trying to make it in Joburg. My view from the very get-go was I took my day job money and I invested it into comedy. So I took my salary and I flew to Cape Town and I would do gigs there for free so I could get to know the industry and the people there. I'd fly to PE if I was opening for Marc Lottering there. I'd pay for myself. So for the first couple of years, comedy cost me money. For 2-3 years, comedy cost me more money than I was making. But I knew that I couldn't just rely on, okay, I'm in Joburg, now it's going to work out. No. I had to go Joburg, Cape Town, Durban, PE, Hankie. Everywhere I could get a gig, I did it. So I never looked at it as an isolated thing. And now, at this time in my career, I'm starting to think that why can't I use South Africa as another springboard and also like sort of do my shows in other countries. There's nothing holding us back except trying to make the money. It's just figuring that out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned that you come from a small town called Hankie. Could you please describe what is Hankie like? And also, basically, I'm looking for more so the challenges that you probably had as a young boy, and also just trying to become a comedian, because, like you said, it wasn't pumping there. You know, there wasn't a huge industry and that kind of thing. So people could be like small-minded and ignorant to what you're doing and be like, "What, Max? Why are you trying to be quiet? Or why are you trying to be silly?" So, do you have any of those challenges growing up in the small town before you branched out?
No, you must remember I left Hankie when I was about 12. I had to go to high school in Port Elizabeth.
Okay.
But Hankie's are full of very talented, very like a lot of amazing, very open-minded people. Like there's a lot of doctors and a lot of professionals come out of there. It's just that it's not a big town. It's just like if I would say something like Klerksdorp, you know, it's small.
Yes.
It was a great childhood. I can't emphasize enough that I come from middle class. I never struggled. My parents looked after us well. They still take care of us in a weird way. You know, they're still very concerned. But so I was fortunate enough to have a very good foundation.
Yes.
Both my parents they married for 40 years this year. They've been together through thick and thin, and they always made sure that the kids were okay. And so when you come from that, and you add a lekker work ethic, and you come from a town where the people around you sort of rooting for you, they were looking, because Hankie, they looked out for you. People would like it's a small town. We look out for each other. They don't drive past you when you have a flat. I come from a beautiful place, a place where everyone greets each other every day. So coming from that and knowing my roots, going out into the world, it made it a lot easier, right? Having good parents, and it's part of why in my videos and stuff I have to portray, and I'm going to say this is probably going to be a little controversial, but I always felt like colored people weren't represented fairly in the media, and I will say that because there was a lot of fantastic examples of colored excellence, people mixed race excellence in South Africa, but it wasn't strong enough. When we all have stereotypes in different cultures, but in other cultures, I found that stereotype was seen as a joke and a stereotype because the world saw that culture as predominantly it was a joke. That's not really true. They like for example, those people are very well represented. You know what I mean? Now, for mixed race people, I saw the stereotype getting too much airtime. So I went, it's all cool, make jokes, but I'm going to tell people what's really happening. What's really happening is that people of mixed race people are fantastic. That most of our parents are still married. Most of our parents pay for our education. Our parents go to work hard every day. Why is it that my friends from other cultures don't know this? They don't understand. So, and there's still a lot of work to be done in that space. And so I wanted people to, especially mixed race people, to be proud of what we really are and to show what we really were. So that was the thing. My challenges weren't the traditional challenges. It's no rags to riches story. There is bread, school clothes. There was enough. I grew up. My brother, my parents paid for us to go to universities. You know, it wasn't always easy, but I can't sit here and go, "Oh man, it was so hard growing up. I had no shoes to go to school." It's life. My parents worked way too hard. It would be disrespectful to them to come out here and pretend that was the case.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. And like with the whole comedy thing, like with starting out there and growing in the industry and all of those things, bro, like did you have any was there any a moment where you felt like you feel like you needed to just hang up the boots, you felt like this is a really hard time, it's a difficult time for me, apart from your back being against the rope because of the industry? Was there any like a personal time when you're like, you know what, I just need to take a moment or whatever, I don't know if I can keep doing this? Or did you ever have a moment like that?
I'll be honest with you, and I'm gonna be no. The short answer is no. There's never a moment where I went, oh, I need to give up on this, because I was so calculated and careful. I'm a very careful person. I'm very careful when I get myself into something. You must remember, I had a good job, so. And I have a lot of experience in business and in corporates. So I understood very early on how to position myself so that I could be authentic, but also appeal to certain commercial opportunities. And I put myself in the positions to get to that. So there was tough times. There were tough months. Last month, I made next to no money. You know?
Yeah.
There are months that you make no money. This is business and this is comedy. And I still had to pay bills and I still had to pay cars and all those things. But it has never hit a point where I've gone, really, I need to maybe shift in going back to my day job. It's never been like that. I've been fortunate enough that all my ideas and plans at a larger scale, as from a bird's eye view, the bigger plan has held me in. Things flop. Last year, I had a show in Cape Town. I had to cancel. I lost a ton of money. I cried on the camera, but I planned it so that if it went that way, I could still feed my family until February or March. So that was whenever I embark on something, especially shows, because you can lose money, nowadays, I always go, the show flops, can I survive? And that's always how I approach things. It's always very planned. It's always very strategic. So, I think because of that, I've been fortunate enough not to hit the point where I go, oh, I need to go and fill out another form to go to a day job again. So far.
I guess it's been a lot. Give a lot of credit goes to your good foundation, because of your values and just your mindset and how you navigate and how you control yourself in stressful situations. So you not want to stay down. You want to think quickly. Okay, what here? What there? Let's actually talk about. Let's talk about some tips, because you mentioned that you've invested in your brand. I mean, a lot in your comedy journey, a lot of, like you said, the first 2 to 3 years, it was you more so paying your way and putting a lot of money into getting your name out there, or just getting a spot, or just developing your brand, And you also mentioned also doing lives is also a good thing that helps you build your brand. A lot of working like that and a lot of lives is just connecting with the people, even if it's just a 30-second or a minute clip. are there any other secret jewels that you have in your pocket there that you feel like you can share with some up and coming comedians that can or anyone that can possibly just take from and feel like that's a good thing that can help them lift up their or build their brand?
Absolutely. Listen, I am all about sharing information. I've got friends and family that support me. I know I'm not always right. In fact, I know I'm 60% of the time I'm probably wrong. You know what I mean? But I surround myself with people that can be honest with me. So that's very important. And number two is we are all in a business. Whether you are going to a job or you are performing or you are selling something, we are all in a business and we are in the business of ourselves. And we need to position ourselves and think about ourselves as a business. What we are selling to, if we have a day job, I'm selling a service, I'm selling, and I have to understand how that machine works. What are the perceptions? What are the expectations? And how can I service those expectations? And am I happy to do the things I need to do to sort of be successful in this space? Things will go up, will come down. Someone won't like you. This is the way the world works. But the biggest thing I always tell people, I tell people common sense goes very far. Give me a guy or a girl with common sense. I take her any day over an MBA, a person that has an MBA from wherever university, that doesn't have common sense and only wants to follow those book rules. Because the world is this is nature. This is wild. You need common sense. Think things through. Think about it. Years ago, when I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples. One is this weekend I had shows in George. The shows in George and Mossel Bay were fantastic. I had made new relationships with the theater. We are the fastest show ever. We sold out the fastest ever at Reed Valley Wine Estates little theater. We had the biggest bar tab sold at George Theater.
Wow.
But that show did not make me tons of money.
Okay.
So the reality of it is, I had to think about things. I'm going to George and Mossel Bay doing a live performance for the first time in my life. The audience doesn't know how my stand-up is yet. I have to introduce that, one. And number two, they are coming and they know this guy from social media. So I was like, if I wanted to make all the money, I fly down to George or I get into a car, I go there myself, I do the shows, and people would have been okay with it. It would have been a good show. Lots of fun would have been had, but they would have felt slighted slightly, because what I sell is a family brand. I take my wife and my kid is very much part of what I do. My extended family is very much part of what I do. Now I rock up in George without my wife, without my kid. Then they feel sort of done by, because they want the whole experience. So do I now choose to take the money, or do I choose to spend that money and spend 10,000 Rand to take my family down there, which is what it costs? Anybody with a mind can do the calculations. I couldn't fly down there because it would be too expensive to fly 5 people down, because it's me, my wife, my kid, Eric, my opening act, and a nanny. Because without the nanny, my wife can't come on stage at the end of the show. She can't take pictures. She can't interact because Ethan is isolated. Also, people in George get to see that I'm there. I'm on the beach with my kid. We're having pizza. It makes them feel good, because I go, we brought the real thing. We didn't because you are a smaller market, quote unquote. I brought half the show. I bring a full show. And that's because of also friends giving me good advice. Stuart Taylor told me, take the whole thing, bro, because we're in a growth phase. Now they know. They had a great time. They saw my wife. They saw the whole thing. I could choose the money and next year come back to half an audience, or I can take the whole show, take half the money, and come back to more people next year. So I always put my audience first. One, that's my one example. Second one is, years ago, I always wanted to do the lyric theater because Trevor did the lyric theater. Doesn't make business sense. That never made business sense. I said, how many? At the time, I could only do 150 people maximum a night. Joburg was my biggest audience. So I go, now I'm going to go spend 25,000 Rand renting a theater. I can't sell out. Don't let your ego make those decisions. You know what I mean? I'll take myself to a small 150-seater room. I did the show. I walked away with a little bit of money. I took that money and I went overseas with it, and I went to tour in Australia. And it grows and it grows. We don't immediately. It's not from here straight into the big show. It's a lot of little sacrifices and common sense. So that's my advice to people. Use your common sense. Get yourself friends that can give you the proper, that can be honest with you. And number 3, just don't let your ego make those decisions.
Yeah. Listen, you've mentioned that like your wife is a huge part of your clips, and like you say, you include her with the experience, the whole experience, so people get to see and meet her as well. Would you say that her following has increased because of your clips that you do? Her following on her personal page has also increased because of the clips that you do as well?
Tremendously. My wife was never on social media.
Okay.
So when we started, this is the hardships we've endured throughout. And I mean, I use the word hardships very lightly, because we've lost family. You know, we've lost friends, and those are real hard things to go through. But my wife was working for a business, and I always said to her that this business is not. They're not good people. Business is not, because. And I always got the feeling from the stories, you know, your wife comes home, she tells you a story, she tells you 2 stories, you start painting a picture in your head. So when lockdown happened, she was the ops manager for this business, and she had a lot of staff under, and they told her, listen, we're giving you a 50% pay cut, and they made her tell her staff that. They didn't tell her that. Then I said, these are scoundrels. They don't have the guts to go and tell these people themselves. You know what I mean? You need to leave here before they ask you to leave, because it's coming. 2 months go by, 75% pay cut for everyone, including herself. And I said, at this point, what's the point for someone to go to work? Yeah, if you made a grand, now you're walking away with 250 Rand. At that time, I'm very grateful that my wife is clever and on her feet. She's a thinker, right? So my channel was growing. They started to know Natalie. Natalie went, okay, man. She had an account where she had a fake profile, where she used to just use it to buy and sell stuff, because she likes thrifting. She likes selling clothes and buying clothes, and selling furniture and buying furniture. And so she went into a cupboard during lockdown, and she said, I don't need half this stuff. And she started selling the stuff, right? And then she opened her own Facebook page. And as soon as she opened up her own Facebook page, I said, Natalie's got her own Facebook page, 20,000 followers for her. So then we started this business where she's now basically, she takes high fashion, she finds it, and she puts a small markup on, and she sells it off at a great condition. And so that's that. So we both self-employed in ourselves. So those social media is huge. Short answer.
No, like that's so amazing, because like it just shows like how much these clips it's done so much well for you, and it's done so much for your wife as well, and for your both businesses and brands. So like I think it's really, really awesome, and it's really something that we should learn. And I say we, including myself, because I'm someone I'm like a perfectionist. I always overthink stuff. I always want to record, and like everything must be perfect, and I don't like watching myself. So I'm too much in my head, you know, and I need to be more authentic, because my partner's always telling me like these things that you say off camera and off stage, these things that you say when you're just fooling around, these things people need to see. And I'm always like, nah, take away the camera, you know. The minute she pulls out a camera and I'm dancing, and I'll stop dancing, you know, I'll be like, no, don't show this for the people. So I need to get over that.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's not easy. It's not easy to do that, even for a person that is a seasoned performer like yourself. I think that people that watch this, and the young guys that are in comedy, if you look at Lunga's been doing this for ages, and we struggle with the same challenges. I will not mention names, but there's a lot of comics that are fantastic comics that struggle with being that vulnerable in front of people.
Yeah,
I think that a large part of what makes, and I think that I've been overwhelmed and happy about the support people have given me. I think a large part of it is that I'm not scared to cry in front of them.
Yeah.
I have, and I tell you, and I can tell you now, if I lose a loved one, I'm gonna be offline for 2-3 months.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I'm not gonna come out and fake it. I don't.
that's reality, you know? I mean, because
Some
that's what
people
we
can
all
do
go.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we
yeah,
all go through these things, and the more real that you are, the more people feel connected with you, you know?
we,
And it just adds more value and more respect. And that's why I try to host a show like this so that people can find out the real person behind all the glitz and glamour, you know, because we don't
yeah.
we always see the glory, but we barely hear the story, you know. So that's why
Although,
I provide a platform
absolutely,
where people can share their stories, because that's also where we find our strength by listening to your stories and your challenges, you know. So it's not just about you sharing your stories, it's about other people being inspired as well. Did you have
yes.
any mentors along your journey?
Oh yeah, man. I've got people that I keep close to me. New people. Sometimes I let some people go. It's fluid. So there's a lot of people that I've, like, for example, yesterday I spoke to Kurt Conrad, I speak to Stuart Taylor, and those are friendships of people that have gone through the business before me. And I asked them questions and they've been very gracious to also help me. I've got people that mentor me that's younger than me. I'm going to mention Jason Goliath, good friend of mine, little old, but about the same age, always great advice.
Mm.
Yasin Barnes, friends in my private life. John Vlismas, huge part of a sort of ongoing relationship and a mentorship that has been absolutely valuable. Guys that know you, that look at you from outside, and they can tell you, "Hey, bro, you flopping." You know what I mean? Oh, that's great. So there's a
Yes.
lot of that. I still have my father, I have my brother, I have my sister, and we've always been extremely close, and we've always been extremely honest. I also give a lot of advice, and sort of insights. My sister's got a business, and my brother-in-law's got a business. We are in each other's business all the time, obviously within healthy boundaries. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I've got a
Yeah.
ton of people.
That's so amazing. Are there anyone that you heavily like you're mentoring people that's comedians that text you like the way you used to text or whatever? Is there anyone that you share advice with?
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, all of those mentorship relationships are up and down. You know,
Okay.
it's up and down. I've called, I try and build healthy relationships where I can go when I see something is not exactly or can be better or is great. I can, because it's important not to just call when things are bad. Call when
Yes. Yes.
that's a great one, you know. So I John and me have an up and down. Stuart and me have an up and down. I get phone calls from them. Kurt calls. Yasin and me call. Dylan calls. Me and Jason go to dinner. You know, I mean, my father. I mean, even with my father. I mean, the man is 66. Calls me and says, "Listen, what do you think of this deal that this guy's offering me?" So it's up and down. Mentorship cannot be a one-way thing. Not for me. I need
Absolutely.
people that I can tell, hey, brah, that's not right. And other way too. Otherwise, this is just me sitting in a classroom listening to you, and I'm not for that. Eh? Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowledge goes both ways. We give and we I was
And,
going to say
and
we
it
give.
comes from, it
Yeah, we give
sometimes
and we give. That's right.
it, it comes from the younger vessels sometimes.
Yeah.
And it comes,
Yes.
I try my best, especially with to find friends and partners and things in my business of comedy and entertainment that are outside of my industry, because
Yeah.
I can only learn so much from people that are doing the same things as me. I need
True.
that outlier. I need a
Yes.
I need a I need a funeral own a funeral home owner to tell me, you know what we did when it came to transportation or to move the line quicker when we're having
Mm.
sisters and tea is X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z. And I go, wait,
Yeah.
I can take that thing to my show. Everyone
Yeah.
wants a sister and tea. We can do that. That's where the magic is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that is so true. I mean, my mentors are not in my industry, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, my one mentor that I work closely with is my partner. She is in the entertainment industry, but she's only in comedy because of me being a client of comedy. And my
Yeah.
other mentor, he's in a different kind of business industry, and I get information and coaching from them on the daily. And that has improved my comedy, my brand, and my thinking, in so many
Absolutely.
ways. So guys, always be open. Some people, they feel like they know it all or whatever. Please be open, because sometimes other people see a better potential in you than what you would see in yourself.
Absolutely. And also, I
And
think you'd agree with. I think you'd agree with this. Find the right people. Be
yes,
careful. Be careful with people's
yes,
opinions. Don't blindly follow. Common
yes,
sense.
yes,
Sometimes this is not for you. You
yes.
must know.
Oh
People need
yeah,
to hold up
absolutely.
their points with you over time. Don't
Yeah.
take don't take financial advice from a friend you made around a bride at another bra's house. Not on day one.
Yeah,
Wait
yeah,
until
yeah.
I told you some things. you know.
Bro, that is so true, because I remember like listening to, because when I started out, I got so much comedians giving me so much advice, and to the point where I did a joke and I did it not the way I do it. I did it the way that this person told me to do it, and I didn't enjoy it. The crowd didn't enjoy it. I hated myself for doing it that way. So
Yeah.
sometimes there's good parts where you'll be like, hey man, because you said this, you should say that. And then actually that's a callback to that. I was like, oh snap. So sometimes they see potential and you're like, oh, I never saw that, but thank you for giving that. But sometimes they tell you things that is not your style, and then like you just feel crap for like doing it. And you feel like, yeah, why did I do that now? Or like, why did I listen to this guy?
Bruh. Especially in stand-up, it's a horrible thing that people give each other advice. I found that very early. And I was also lucky because I got into stand-up at age 29. I was a grown man. So I wasn't vulnerable. So if you come up to me now and tell me do it like this, that I'm gonna go, okay, cool, I'll take your point, but thanks. And I'll just go and do it my way. Because stand-up is a very individual thing. It's a very people can teach you basics. The last time I had good stand-up advice was in 2013. It was a guy who was down here from the US. He told me to move the mic stand to the left. After that, I didn't listen to anybody.
Just do the
When it
mic
comes
stand.
to what I do on stage, no one. Because if I told, it's like Jimmy Carr is a fantastic comic. He's a one-liner comic. I once was lucky enough to have breakfast. Huge name drop here. I have breakfast with him, right? And he's such a nice guy, but he's a great businessman. Gave me great business advice. But imagine that man must give me advice about how to speak to brown people in George. I it was nuts.
Yeah.
Comedian. What was I? No, bruh. Can't tell me about how to break into markets from a business perspective. Want jy kan nie vir mense tell hom jokes te vertel vir mense in die oorskapie. Hy bo.
Hy's my mentor.
Die mense ek doen dit soos ek het doen,
Yeah, ek moet vir jou leer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, we've come to like basically the end of our interview, and I've really, really had a good time speaking to you, Alfred. I can't end this without asking you my final question. My final question. Okay, I don't ever usually do that, but I'm not going to do it again. So my final question is for you, is that I'm going to put you in a time machine like I do with all of my guests. And I'm going to take you back all the way to the very, very young Alfred, who started this for the very first time, not knowing what lies ahead for him. Just the moment when you decided this is what I want to do. And it's the Alfred of you today, having experienced what you've experienced, walked the journey, what you've did, the success and all the lessons and all of that. I'm giving you only 5 minutes to give the younger version of you some advice. What would that advice be?
First and foremost, I would probably not mess with history because I'm in a pretty nice place. I'm very happy where people come out and see me. I sold out shows in George, Cape Town, UTP. What more that guy wasn't bad with his decision making.
Okay,
so
what guidance would you say?
I would say this I would go back and say this to him. I'd say, guy, take your time and build your own back office from the beginning. Do your own bookings, build your own back office, Learn how that business works because in the long run, that eventually happens anyway. The more success you get, the more you have to have a better understanding of how billing works for different things. And I let that over to other people for maybe a bit too long. So that's the advice I would give. But the rest, man, it's been great. Thank you for the great decisions. Thank you so much, Lunga. It's great.
No, bro, like honestly, I thank you. I mean, I've enjoyed your story. I've enjoyed having you. I like your energy. I like the way you just shared everything. You didn't hold back anything. And I've loved what we've learned about you today and about your character. It says a lot about who you are. And we appreciate the work that you're doing. Keep doing your work, bro. You are very, very, very inspiring. And we just, like I said, we enjoy seeing your things. We enjoy seeing your true self. We enjoy seeing you when you're fooling around with Natalie. So keep that also up, and you know what the benefits are for your brand and her brand as well. So it's a win-win situation, and we're happy that you're here.
Thank you so much, brother. And when I'm in Cape Town, let us just make a breakfast, man. It can't go on for like this long. What is the story? You have my phone number.
Yeah. I owe you a call. So I believe you're coming to in December, right? You got a couple of shows.
I'm renting a Fender trailer. I'm coming to live in Cape Town for a month.
Oh, lovely stuff. As a matter of fact, can you please drop us all your social handles and please tell us what you're doing next, where you're going to be next, all of your social handles and all of those things that we can look forward to.
So I am Alfred Adriaan, like it's written here, on everything. I was an early adopter. If you need to book me for corporate, I'm at info@alfredadriaan.com. All my shows are going to come to all of the major cities and there's even smaller liquor towns. So I'm coming to Youth Next soon. I added 50 tickets to the Youth Next shows on the 20th and the 21st of October. I'm coming to Port Elizabeth. We've all sold out except for the 23rd, which is a Saturday. I am exclusive to you guys. I'm about to announce Roodepoort Theatre here. I have just sold out all of Cape Town's second extension. So we are talking about maybe doing 1 or 2 extra dates just to help those people that couldn't come. Middle of the month is a tough time to buy tickets. So we are looking into buying more tickets, but I'm going to be in Cape Town from the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 23rd, 22nd, and 21st, and also the 27th, and then hopefully more dates after that. So see you in Cape Town. Come.
Love stuff. Yes. I definitely need to hook up. There's a lot of dates in Cape Town, so we definitely need to hook up, spend some time. And I come and check out your show, man. Come on, for real now. Alfred, you're a legend, buddy. You keep going. You keep doing your thing. Keep shining your light. Keep making people happy every single day. You are a legend, bro, for doing that and picking up the camera. And we know some days can be tough. Some days can be challenging, but you still commit. You still come. Today was challenging. You still commit to making other people's day. And that is a very beautiful thing about you, brother. So even if it doesn't mean anything to your brand, that's a very beautiful thing that you consciously do for people. So keep it up, brother. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your stuff. And I'm also looking forward to seeing you as well. Alfred, it's been a great blessing to have you on the show tonight. Is there anything else would you like to say that I maybe forgot to leave out or whatever?
No,
last words to fans? Shout outs to my peeps, All right, Alfred, thank you so much, buddy. May you have a lovely night, and may I'm going to release you now so you can have fun with your family again and have your lovely time with your family. Good night, bro.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it from Alfred, and that's it from myself. If you want to follow me, if you're not following me just yet, please follow me on on Facebook at Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. That is Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. And on Instagram, you can follow me at Lunga Tshuka. That is at Lunga Tshuka. Also, I have a separate page for the Price of Fame for some exclusive episodes and snippets of the Price of Fame. You can go to Instagram and follow the Price of Fame ZA. That is the Price of Fame ZA. You can check it out there. The link is in the bio, which will take you to the YouTube page for the full episodes. This is episode 23, I think. I'm not sure, 28, 20. It's in the 20s. I've done a lot of these episodes. You want to check out all the other episodes, you can go to my YouTube page. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Like I always say, let's make the entertainment industry within South Africa the best supported by locals, because local talent is lekker talent. My name is Lunga Tshuka. I've been your host. This is The Price of Fame.